Okay, so I wanted to think about something that was very interesting to me. One of my role models for people that are very persuasive is my mother. I don't know how. She gets everybody to do everything for her, and they are very happy to help her. I think that's a true talent that somehow she developed when she was little. She was the youngest in her family of 8. 我媽是因兜上細漢的，每一個人做該幫忙的，連今嘛，已經做阿嬷 everybody still wants to help her. And I'm thinking to myself, what is it that she does that makes me unable to say no to her? Some sort of a power, more than a mother power, because other people can't say no to my mother too. So I'm thinking to myself, I want to learn this and I want to teach it to other people. I want other people to have this power as well. So what I'm going to talk about today is we're going to take a look at the definition. What is persuasion? And I'm going to look at 2 different models, 2 theories, and we'll take a look at which one might fit you more. And then I'm also going to challenge you to think about whether or not it applies to you. And then afterwards, I kind of threw in some of my own factors. So there are some other things that are out there that I see in my private practice, and I think that they might be things that you want to try out as well. And then afterwards, I'll open it up to question and answers. Okay. So let me ask you, what do you think persuasion is? Persuasion, what the hell guys say? Okay. I think 咁冇法度搞個雞碎，這是什麼意思？用猜的，huh? Persuade. Okay, yes. Some guesses. What do you think it is? Think about this is getting what you want. Because I can get what I want. I can force somebody to give me their lunch money, right? What else is persuasion? Convincing somebody. Okay. What is that? Okay, so it's convincing people. It's getting what you want. Let's take a look at what I was able to find. Okay, so it's a kind of a social influence. It's a way of getting what you want from people, and it's not always logical. I'm gonna grab my notes so that I can look at you instead of looking behind me. So there are ways of getting what you want, but sometimes people don't know why they would actually do it for you. I don't have time for you. But somebody else comes by and says, I want the same exact thing. 2 responses to the same exact request. It's because of the person. It's whether or not they're able to persuade other people. President Eisenhower, I just did an so my counter is going to count that. President Eisenhower once said that it's an art, and it's actually getting people not just to do what you want them to do, but it's making them happy to do it for you. They want to do it for you. So there's a motivational side to it. One thing that I figured out was, that's my second, I was in Taiwan, and we were on a trip after the medical association trip. We were on a train back up to Taipei. We wanted very much to not end the trip. We had a whole week together as a Taiwanese medical association for Teritai. And so NATMA 2G participants, we had one whole week together. And after the week, we decided, why don't we all have dinner together in Taipei? Somebody choose a restaurant. We had 2 people in charge of asking everyone on the trip. We had 30 people on the trip. One person was in charge of asking the first 15, and the other person was in charge of asking the last 15 people. I sent them on their way with directions of where were you going to go eat, and I said I needed a head count so that I could make reservations. One person came back and said, everybody's busy, nobody wants to go. The other person came back and said, everybody's coming. So this taught me, oh, that poor doctor, he just needs to learn how to get people to think that that's what they really want to do. So that became a little goal of mine, is trying to help people to get what they want and make other people happy in the process. There's a theory out there by Brian Tracy. He talks about 4 different P's that you need. And so I really like acronyms, something simple to remember. Power is the first one, positioning, performance, then politeness. We're going to take a look at each one. And each one is unique because they have an aspect of persuasion that is equally important from one another. So if we look at power, there are different types of power. Switch. So one is personal power. Another kind, and this is very important for Asians, is some sort of a credibility. I'm an authority figure. I have a title behind my name. And people tend to accept that to a certain extent, but that only gets you so far. And then there's also something else kind of intangible. You can't really put your finger on it, but that person seems powerful. They don't have a title behind their name, but everybody likes them and everyone follows them. And we all know that there's different types of people like that. So let's take a moment and think about this in our own lives. Are there people who actually have authority but that you don't respect? So this is an open-ended question. Think out loud. Is there anyone that has a title but you don't respect? Perfect. You all are so good at this. Okay. So just because someone is the CEO of a company, the president of a country, we may not actually respect that person, correct? Can you think of somebody who doesn't have a title, but that everyone respects for some reason?
Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton, he's no longer our president. I don't know who that is. Okay, so you can think of several people that don't actually have a formal title. I can also think of other people that they're not publicly known, like my ama. Everybody likes to visit her. And she can say a lot or she can say very little and everybody respects her. So there's different kinds of people in our lives and we can kind of think about what is it about that person that makes me want to listen? I would go pay money. I would spend time to travel and get there because I really want to hear what they have to say. So power is one aspect of persuasion. And sometimes it's easier when you have a sense of both. If you have the title and you happen to be very good at what you're doing, it makes it a lot easier for you to have credibility. Okay. Okay, positioning. This is a very interesting one because this is kind of a secret talent. Can you get yourself to the point that you are always in someone's mind? Now this happens when people are in love with each other. If I'm in a relationship and my partner's not with me, but I'm still thinking about them. So this happens when people go on trips and they buy people that they care about souvenirs. Like it could be their children, it could be their significant other. It means that that person is very important to you. It's very interesting when you become a public figure and you're able to win a place in someone's heart. So they may not know you intimately, but they believe they have an intimate connection with you. The true test of this is if people can talk about you when you're not there, and they're not saying something bad. So there's a difference, because we could all be saying something about someone infamous, but that person isn't likely going to persuade me. In fact, what it's going to do is it's going to make sure that I follow exactly what they don't want. So that's not the kind of positioning that we want. We want a positive kind of positioning. There are some people that wear bracelets that say WWJD. Does anyone know what that stands for? What would Jesus do? So that's basically the same idea, that you have in your mind, I may not know this person personally, but I pretty much can guess how they would approach this problem. So one of the keys to being able to persuade people is you want to get them to respect you and what you might do. When I was doing my dissertation, I was trying to look at first and second generation and how they interact with one another. I was trying to look at how Americanized people in the household are and how Taiwanese people in the household are. And the more different they are, the more they're probably going to argue. But this is a very difficult study because this means that I need to get the child, one child in the family, I need to get both parents to respond to my questionnaires. And I really wanted to graduate on time. So I decided what I was going to do was collect data on the child and get them to respond on behalf of their parents. They may not agree with their parents' perspectives, but they probably know how they would respond. And this is what we want when we're in a place of work, when we're having personal relationships with each other. You want to make your values known to people, your opinions known, so that when you're not there, they could kind of guess. I think I know that person well enough that this is how they might respond. So that's an example of positioning. Another P is performance, and this has a lot to do with competence. How good are you at something? We all know of people that talk a lot and they really don't know what they're talking about, right? This means that you're gaining respect because you're excellent at something. Some people, they take on titles, they don't do a very good job, and then no one wants to be associated with their project, no one wants to be associated with their team. Can anyone tell me what bandwagon means? Bandwagon. What do you think it means? Heard of it? Okay. This is not me because I really do love the Lakers. But let's say I grew up my whole life and I'm not that interested in basketball, and suddenly they have a three-peat. I suddenly am wearing my Lakers jersey. I am going to all the games. So that's a bandwagon, that you jump on a wagon that's already leaving. It's already on the road. So this is back in the days when you had horse-drawn carts. And people would say, wow, there's so many people on it. I better jump on now before it leaves town. So this is a kind of a performance thing. You want to attach yourself to something winning. People rarely ever want to attach themselves to a team that they feel is losing. The only times when they do that is when they feel like they can gain something from it. Like, I will give to orphans or the poor because it makes me look good. But most times people want to associate themselves with something that they consider to be very excellent. Usually when you can gain a reputation for excellence, that means that you can influence other people. So let me ask you to do an exercise. What cause or team would you give resources to when you usually would not because you really believe in them? Here's some suggestions. Okay, so can you think of a cause or a team? Like, normally you're very busy and you're not going to give your time or your money. But when you hear about this, you think, oh, I really believe in that. I want to do that. So can you think of an example in your own life?
My nephew was born premature, and because of that, I want to donate to research to children who are born premature.
Mm-hmm. So it's usually something that's very personal to you. And it's usually something that you feel, I want to make a difference. Someone that I work with passed away about a week and a half ago, and it was due to leukemia. I have gone to many, many fundraisers where they ask for bone marrow, and I've always been so scared of needles. I've never signed up before. But because of this person who's so excellent, he was a community leader, and I really felt like if all of us took a cheek swab, maybe he would have had a chance. It's very, very rare to find an Asian donor match.